Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Told you we wouldn't be gone for that long, and we have our awesome guest here joining us for the TSM Academy and Winthrop University series in Alex X Special Choose. First of all, welcome to the desk, my friend. I'm super glad to have you here. You know, what are you looking forward to seeing in this series tonight?
I'm pretty excited. I mean, obviously with Zeus versus CLG Academy, that was a pretty big upset. I'm excited to see what Winthrop can do. Obviously, it's a little different. I think TSM Academy's strengths really rely on their laners, but their team play is pretty decent as well. I think their biggest issue is they're not able to convert the strong lanes into big advantages, and I think Winthrop with their strong laners won't be able to match up the same way that other amateur teams might have failed. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. I'm excited because both those teams have my former players, and I'm excited to see how they do.
Nice. Obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, Frost Forest was on the Harrisburg, kind of on the Harrisburg roster, and also Fizzy, who is playing for TSM Academy right now. Fizzy has been someone that everyone here from Amateur has been really fantastic. Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah, we've been really excited to see them kind of play, and this one coming yesterday, this was a huge upset against Revival, right? Everyone was making fun of us for if we were voting for Winthrop to win, but Winthrop, I think, showed up really nice last night, especially with some of the adaptations that they were doing. But this is by far the David versus Goliath matchup. This is... If there was an upset here, I think a lot of us would probably be, it would definitely catch a lot of us by surprise.
Yeah, it would be one hell of a surprise here for us on the desk. Because a lot of the major advantages that Winthrop University gained was through hybrids being able to perform so incredibly well against his opponent in Constant of X. But we're not expecting that same type of performance against Hanser, who, I mean, he's been in the LCS for quite some time, and now, you know, on this Academy split here for TSM, even though an X Special did mention before we got onto the desk together that Hanser has played historically pretty weak side for most of his career. If he is able to get his hands on something like a Gangplank in this series, then there's nothing that Winthrop University have in terms of just pure laning prowess that is going to prevent TSM Academy from just being able to win lane, win game here.
Yeah, so one thing that's tricky is when people think weak side, they think like, oh, he's not a good player. But Hanser is not. He's actually an excellent player. He's extremely talented, and he's not good at playing strong side in the sense that he's not able to use his jungler well to win the game. So he played a lot of Renekton, played a lot of GP, but when he played Renekton, he's not able to convert leads. And we're not able to convert leads as a Renekton, you're not going to really have as much of an impact. Sure, Renekton's teamfight is actually not too bad right now. His ability to one-shot key targets is actually incredibly strong, but Hanser traditionally does much better on team fight oriented champions, so that's kind of where I want to see him. And the tricky thing is hybrids is kind of similar in that sense that he also doesn't play strong side that well. So when you have both kind of play the same style, I would expect the more seasoned veteran in Hanser to easily dominate and easily have more impact in team fights, and I think that's going to be a pretty big mismatch, but we'll see what hybrids can do today.
For this Winthrop University roster, it is the only other collegiate roster apart from Maryville University that have made it this far so in the Unified Grand Prix tournament, which is celebration in itself. And if realistically speaking, for Winthrop University, if they're able to take a game off TSM Academy, that is something that they could be proud of. As you know, the odds are pretty stacked against them. We want to be completely, you know, forthcoming in an honest matchup. But if there's any lane here, Alk Battery, that might be able to have an advantage, it could be in Doxa, the mid laner for Winthrop.
Yep. I've been loving Doxa. He's been performing well. There was obviously a joke tweet earlier that we were kind of looking at where TSF held all these worlds, these worlds appearances. They've got a bunch of LCS championships between Hanser and then Winthrop as a counter. They've got Doxa. They've especially against someone like Sword, he's an up and coming mid laner who has kind of been part of TSM in their junior program. We've been really excited to see what he can do, and I'm looking forward to see what this matchup between the two kind of shakes out between them.
All right, and we are wrapping. No, you're fine. You're fine. We do have to get ready to throw it over to our casters in Kangas and Coco. The desk is pretty unanimous on a TSM Academy in 2-0, but game one is coming your way. Kangas and Coco, take us away.
Thank you very much, Rafa. Welcome, everybody, as we're getting ready for Winthrop University taking on TSM Academy. I'm Kangas, your play-by-play caster, joined by Coco the Dragon as your color. Coco, it's been a while since we've casted together. I appreciate your flannel attire. Me as a Minnesotan, you as a Canadian. We're representing the boys right now. We do have 4 Canadians in this matchup ahead of us. How's your day been so far?
Well, it's doing pretty good. We've been jam-packed with a bunch of games here already in honestly, the first round for UEA. And this is something where, for me, this is like do or die for a lot of these teams here. And it's for both the Academy teams here for TSM and then CLG, who actually did just go down to the losers bracket in that last series. And then for today, where people are giving Winthrop this huge discrepancy between them and TSM Academy of just saying, well, you know, TSM Academy, their players are just man-to-man better, but they still have some hiccups here and there in a sense of team synergy, and that's the ultimate test for us today, as we are sort of speeding through the draft already in the first few picks and bans.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're just getting right into it, Coco. I thought we'd have a little bit of chance to talk our opinions of the teams. We'll do that throughout the cast, I suppose. Sure. You said it yourself. TSM Academy, we're expecting them to have just lane through lane, higher performing players. But let's break down what's happening in the pick and ban so far. We have a lot of focus on these junglers. This is on the new patch, so a lot of changes have gone through. Olaf was not banned out, so TSM Academy locked that in right away. No big surprise right there.
Yeah, and it's a first pick that Winthrop really sort of relied on in their series against Revival and has really been dependent on, because the issue with Winthrop is that on blue side, they don't have any great first picks, but on red, they can hold their mid lane counter picks, give Doxa a really good situation in that mid lane, and then also you can sort of ban out a lot of the top side of the map to have hybrids then come in with that winning matchup, even if he has to blind pick either R3 or R4. And into this situation, this is just traditional Winthrop so far, with the Graves being that counter pick against that power farming jungler of Abip's Olaf.
Yeah, Graves locked in, but also I'm looking at that Jinx right now. It's been rising in popularity with the recent buffs, more health, more range on those rockets. We've seen it already here in the Tier 1 tournaments. It was also showing up a little bit even in Tier 2. Answer of Rakan locked in. So TSM Academy want a little bit of engage. And we know, Thresh off the table, Raw off the table. Those are 2 of the hot choices right now in the meta. Rakan has been sneaking his way back into the meta as well.
Yeah, and if you think of other supports available, you'd think of Alistar being on the board right now. Nautilus is still available in Leona. But, if you go Rakan, it's 99% chance you're going to be going Xayah with that as well. So we've already have the bottom lane formulated for TSM Academy. And this gives them a lot of that comfort pick that I was sort of touching on in the very beginning, where Winthrop, they really rely on their top and mid to have those counter picks, and forcing into a blind situation going into the second phase of pick ban really puts a lot of pressure on Winthrop now, because now you can say, you know what, we're going to agree, we'll do a gentleman's agreement, get that Nautilus support in there as well, so you have a little bit of engagement. Not great for a dance between Rakan and Xayah because of how disengagey the lovers duo can be, but now we're going to see those mid and top bans coming out from both Winthrop and TSM Academy, and it'll help tell the story of how these teams are going to be prioritizing one another. The Orianna already showing us that we don't want any neutral lanes, we want blood in these solo lanes.
Yeah, they don't want these safe blind picks. Cindercell on the table if they want to go for something like that, but LeBlanc actually banned away here on the side of TSM Academy. And Coco, going into this match, you were critical of Hybrid's champ pool in particular, so I'm kind of surprised to see that TSM Academy has not been banning out any of the top picks that he's been going for. Things like that Aatrox, those more aggressive picks, but still
it's
more
a shallow
mid lane focus.
It's a shallow pool. Like, I'm very critical on hybrids because he's very effective on those picks like Aatrox, like Camille, but it is just into the same playhouse as Haunter. He will play man-to-man, and I am not hesitant to say Haunter will throw down that gauntlet and say, okay, let's see how your Aatrox really matches up against myself in whichever situation. Either Camille or Nara is still available as well, and taking out more of these mid lane picks, well, there's that Aatrox Kangas. As this just says those counter picks, those comfort picks that both Sword and Doxa are going to be looking for are no longer available.
If I'm Winthrop right now, this is a big decision that you're making here. Do you blind pick your top lane or do you blind pick your mid? Because if you blind pick top, though, Haunter gets the counter pick, and that's a big ask for hybrids to deal with that. So they go for the mid lane instead. They lock in this Zoe. They're allowing hybrids that counter pick, which means that Haunter will have to lock in first. But now we get to see what Sword wants to lock into Zoe. We have seen in Academy he's opted into the Lucian in particular in this matchup. That might be a little too much AD though for this particular comp. Syndra is still on the table. Yeah, that's a much more standard pick here for what they've drafted.
Yeah, hell, I honestly could have said, you know what, if you want to go AP top, like a Gragas top or a Rumble if you want for Hanser, you could have thrown in a Lucian mid and really just gone man-to-man for Doxa vs. Sword, but that confidence, of course, and with just the better neutral pickup for the Syndra, they'll go ahead and grab that one. And the Gragas, another great blind pick. Yeah, it's going to be going tanky, so now into this department, we were talking about how, well, you got to have that winning matchup. You're waiting for the counter pick for Hanser, and he picks like the last great top laner that really doesn't struggle against any matchup. Even if against the Gnar, he can still farm from range. He can still be beefy enough to where you're never going to get priority on hybrids in this side lane. And then you go into team fight situations. You and I have been watching Solifide go nonstop with the Gragas tops throughout all the tier 2s. We know how strong Gragas can be in those team fight situations and create that chaos. And now with all of the cards being shown on the table, TSM Academy wants to play on that chaos. They want to be going in these scrappy, skirmishy fights over objectives, where Winthrop, they're a little bit more looking for those flanks, but they need to be a little bit more congested for that maximum output of their carries.
Yeah, Winthrop's composition seems like it's trying to do a lot of different things. It can look for picks with things like the Zoe bubble. It can look for engages with potentially the Nautilus or the Mega Gnar, but you got to worry about that Gragas barrel. You got to worry about Xayah's ultimate as well. It's going to be hard to actually get onto TSM Academy, whereas TSM Academy, I'm just liking how much... I guess ease of execution might not necessarily apply to this composition, but it just feels like when they want to go in, when they want to fight for these objectives, not only do they have the offensive tools to look for those engages, but they also have great defensive tools to stop what Winthrop is trying to do. So I'm liking this composition for DSM Academy overall. I think that they got a good mix of damage profiles and also a decent enough front line. We'll see what they're able to do here. They got to represent Academy right now. We just saw CLG Academy drop that series against Zeus, so pressure's on for the Academy rosters right now. Can they show up and prove that they are better than the amateur players right now?
Yeah, and it's going to be a massive question to ask, because not only is it better amateur players, but better collegiate players. Winthrop University is one of the strongest collegiate teams in the current environment, and you're sort of jumping multiple worlds, like almost multiple dimensions, to be honest, with the power levels of both the collegiate environment and then the amateur environment. And now you're going against TSM Academy, who I will say Hanser is still at that LCS level in his performances, but the rest of his team is still in that academy. So you have all these different playstyles and all these different power levels that are clashing together in this series. And at that point, there's just so much on the line with all these chaotic points at stake that for Winthrop, if they're able to come out and they're able to prove that they can go man-to-man against TSM Academy, that is just a huge bolster for them going into the rest of the Tier 1 tournaments that have yet to come out.
Because Winthrop, keep in mind, this is it's kind of a David versus Goliath story that we got going on right now. People did not expect Winthrop to actually upset Revival in their previous series. That was considered an upset by most analysts that were looking at that match. I mean, if you just look at Winthrop's record so far in 2021, they tied for 7th place in Risen. They got 5th through 8th in Big League and 9th place in Cup. This is not a team that people were really expecting to put this kind of performance here. And if they can show up against CSM Academy, you're right. Not only does this say great things about Winthrop, but also great things about the university scene in general. Because throughout time, it seems like they've kind of gotten dropped down a little bit in the discussion of who's better, Academy, amateur, and then kind of collegiates tacked on at the end with Maryville. But Winthrop showing up saying, nope, there's more teams than just that.
Yeah, and I think that just keeps playing more into that narrative, right? Of saying, well, with these different power levels and with how Winthrop's previous performance has been, that recency bias comes into play of saying, well, that Revival upset, sure, some will also say that it was a pretty sloppy series between both Revival and Winthrop. It looked a little bit of an exhausting situation, but into that end, all of those different environments and ecosystems of these competitive scenes come into that huge question, right? Because like you mentioned with Maryville as well, who is playing against NoOrg, we have to see how those results also play out, because that's another massive titan in the collegiate scene, but is still getting their grasp on the amateur circuit right now. So with hybrids and Saskia, who are very much veterans in their own right, not to mention Sir Kenji has been really impressing me personally as of late, going up against a very scattered TSM Academy who still has extremely strong manpower with Cody Sun and Hanser. If they are able to come out of that laning phase either in a neutral state, or they're able to go blow for blow into those team fights over objectives, that's where I'm going to say, okay, Winthrop, you just need to drop CeeLo right now, because you can punch with the big dogs and you can make it into Proving Ground circuit.
I'm happy you highlighted Sir Kenji in particular, the support over on Winthrop, because we also have another collegiate support here over on TSM Academy's side, Fizzy. We heard X-Special given his opinion of Fizzy as a player. My personal opinion of Fizzy, he's had some great plays in Academy. He's shown that he can hang, but he's also had a lot of poor performances where he just can't quite get the hold of the game. And the bottom side, Cody's son is an AD carry that historically really likes having a support that will stick with him, help him just kind of power farm, get through the laning phase, and go into those team fights. Whereas Fizzy, when I watch his playstyle, he likes to roam. He likes to get out of there and help impact the rest of the map. So when we're thinking about Sir Kenji's playstyle compared to Fizzy in particular, this collegiate support head-to-head, who are you favoring here? Do we like the stay in lane, farm with the carries, with the jinxes, things like that, or do you want to see more movement, more roaming?
I saw that Israel Uni game like just a few moments ago. I don't want any of that, man. I want to see some blood. I want to see some Rels roaming out of their lanes, having the ADCs more into sort of that invested role of saying, okay, we're putting our ADC into the 401k. We're gonna pull it out once we hit 55 minutes, and they're gonna hit 6 items, and it's gonna be nuts. But with the supports of both Sir Kenji and Fizzy, it's weird, right? Because like you mentioned, Cody's son wants him around, wants him in those 2v2 duels, and Fizzy wants to get out of there, and he's sort of aspiring to what Sir Kenji can do and what he's been able to do, where he's been able to make a couple plays where he gets the confidence from Saskia, who says, look, I can do some good wave management, you go ahead, walk around with Frost Forest so we can actually look for some objective priority and looking for some vision control so we can track the opposing jungler. If Fizzy's able to do that, it's just a lover's dream for himself, especially with the Xayah Rakan in this game 1, where he's going to be able to help set up those players with Babip, who has been struggling in his own rights to sort of create that macro priority that TSM Academy has needed. And then from there, play the better game than Sir Kenji and show him like, hey, you're still pretty new to the scene. I've been in the Academy ecosystem. I've been through the muck. I've been born in this. I'm going to show you how it's really done.
Quick update for anybody wondering why we haven't hopped into game yet. We do have a pause in the game currently, so I'm sorry that I do not have a 3D printer like Nibira does. Kogo, do you have any props you want to show off in your room right now? You got some cool swag behind you.
I don't know about a 3D printer, but I have a literal sword. So
you do have a literal sword.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think we might have to do a reenactment of how Zeus literally cut CLG in half because I see the jersey on your door. So
hey. You know what? The faithful shall be rewarded, Coco. Not only is it a jersey, that's a signed poster.
It's an Afromu jersey. I'd actually feel pretty bad because it's an Afromu jersey, man. Like
it is, yeah.
He's a legend, so I don't think I'll do it like that.
Do I get a jersey for every single CLG support, or do I get every single Afromu jersey?
I don't know
what
the
answer
jerseys,
is.
Man. I don't know. Like,
I might be leaning that way.
The Dig jerseys are pretty nice, but I have to say. There's also the TSM. He was on TSM for a little while too, so...
He was?
Yeah.
Wait, was he? No, he wasn't.
I thought he
was not on TSM.
He was with Double Lift?
Right
no, that was with CLG. Excuse me.
That was on
I'm
CLG. We're in the game, Coco.
Oh, well.
I can't. You're tilting me right now. You mentioned the enemy's name, which, speaking of, we are casting currently. TSM Academy loaded onto the Rift versus Winthrop Academy, our final series of the night here on the Academy channel. Coco, let's do our due diligence, talk about these team compositions, and talk about the early game, what we expect to see happening here. We mentioned the supports and what they might have as their game plan, but one of the biggest things this patch is the changes to jungle. Less experience, less gold, more incentive to gank. Where do we expect to see the action?
Well, I'm going to be looking at first how Frost Forest and Babip are going to be starting. Will they be starting up on these top ends and really trying to prioritize that bottom side of the map where we were sort of really investing on these roaming support styles and getting them out of that lane? Or will they be going more for that power farming familiarity where they can say, you know what, we hit 6, that's when we're going to look for those objectives. We're going to look for some dragon control, get that early stat check rolling. So then once we get into that 16-minute mark when turret plates start to fall and you really are sort of in this congested situation, you can start breaking open force of will. And in this state, you can already see starting topside, they're going with the former. They're going to be trying to prioritize this bottom lane and really getting both these carries and the supports online.
Xayah Rakan notorious for being a very strong carry duo bot lane. Speaking of, they just go right in onto Saskia. That's Ignite burned already. Flash defensively, but these rocket ranges... Saskia does get a pretty good trade back, so it's Flash for Ignite, but overall health bar trade over to Winthrop.
Okay, good win on that one. I have to say, Winthrop here, they might be able to have the upper hand just with how Sir Kenji is able to sort of position himself in that lane. But we were also discussing on how these solo lanes of hybrids versus Hanser can be very influential throughout. Because if you have hybrids actually get a really good CS lead and get some actual control, he could look for something. But nice hook there on a Cody.
Level 2 hit early by Winthrop right now. It is answered by TSM now. But they still lose out on that trade. So I like that from Sir Kenji. That's early. These supports are just willing to drop that Ignite right away.
I'm loving it. I love that they are just looking for blood at 2 minutes into the game, trying to force summoners early, because you continue to look at how these junglers are just closing in on this bottom side of the map. There's no vision set up for any of these bot lanes either. They're just some advanced wards just to see if they could look at each other, dancing for those level 2 spikes when those did happen. And into this stage, you just have to wait for either Frost Forest or Babip to hit down here. He's in the Triburst right now. There's Babip. Yep. They might hit the go button in just a few moments.
University are in a really rough position right now. A double knockout comes in from Fizzy. There's no flash on Saskio. Remember that. Teleport comes in, and it is the top laner. So hybrids, also Hanser. It's going to be a party in the bot lane. 2.5 minutes in, but Saskio walks forward again. I don't know if that was the correct call there, buddy. You don't have the range, but there we go. A trade kill is answered. Babbitt will go down. Forest looking for more, but pause comes in, Coco. What a time to pause as 4 members from either side show up on the bot side at 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, dude, I was like looking into the narratives and being like, man, it's going to be a 1v9 for Hanser. It's going to be absolutely insane. He's going to have to carry his team. And where does the action line up? Well, it's on the bottom lane, seeing if they can get Saskio and Sir Kenji offline. That's what TSM Academy's goal is, because as much as Cody's Sun and Fizzy have had their struggles, they still have the capability to at least deny win conditions away from their opponents. And that's what a lot of this fighting is going for, to where you don't have this hyper carry jinx online for the side of Winthrop, and the rest of the team can create that chaotic environment that TSM Academy's composition thrives in.
And Winthrop were so close to just completely turning that play around. I mean, if Frost Force had been a little faster on his rotate, I think that they could have completely caught out Babbitt right there. They at least still traded the kills, but Babbitt just got there like 5 seconds before Frost Forest. Winthrop University were pushed a little too far forward. So first blood does go over to TSM Academy. It is trade. We'll have to see what happens after this pause, because there were 2 very low health bars on TSM Academy. They're probably going to get out, most likely just going to back under turret. But I'm happy that you highlighted the jungle path right at the beginning, Coco, because that was a journey to follow. Both junglers knew exactly what they wanted to do, and you have to imagine that trading those ignites, trading the flashes on the bot side, was all intended to set up this kill lane for those junglers to get to. Question being, who's really coming out ahead here? Because now Babbitt's going to be put slightly behind on his jungle clear, whereas Saskio on the Jinx is now going to be put behind on the AD carry farm clear. So which team really wins out? We'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Yeah, if we want to do a little bit of a guessing game just with how that bottom lane interacted, first off, you had that level 2 happen where it was Saskio who used his flash over it was the ignite from Fizzy. So that's immediately a win for TSM Academy, saying, all right, we have this ADC, doesn't have a mobility summoner anymore, so now we can really double down on this bottom lane investment. And that's where you had Babip come in, say, you know what? We know that summoner is down. I'm going to rush down there. Don't care about Krugs, where Frost Forest was like, oh, well, I can go ahead and do my entire full clear. And because of that, because of the faster proactivity coming in from Babip and making that choice, that's where they were able to pick up the first blood. But this is without talking about the TPs that also came in from Hybrids and Hanser, who were really bloodthirsty as well, because if they get interaction into that first blood back and forth, we just saw also it was Hybrids who was able to pick up that kill. He gets to come in, and that also affects that top lane of saying, all right, now Hanser is having to play a little bit more of an uphill battle where Hybrids has that extra few hundred gold to cash in for that mythic.
Suddenly this expected 1v9. He gets counterpicked on the top side. His lane opponent gets an early kill. I still don't know how much we expect Hybrids to push that kind of lead. Again, just given the guy's play style, and given just Hanser's experience and knowledge of matchups, of experience in LCS, things like that, we still expect TSM Academy to have a heavy favored top half of the map, but this does help buffer that a little bit for Hybrids going into this laning phase again, whenever they decide to back and reset up there. But I have heard that the pause has ended, so we should be able to get back into the game very shortly and kind of see what the repercussions of this early play were, because again, multiple teleports, multiple flashes, multiple ignites, all used to set this up. And now the game is no longer in a standard state. It has turned into chaos and is completely blown up.
Okay, so as you said, there's a couple members low here from TSM Academy. This actually might be a dive because you know that heals down, Flash is the only summoner up, and you still have 3 very healthy members from Winthrop here. Haunter has to stay down here to be that extra man, to be that bulwark for Cody, Sun, and Fizzy. And with that, with the Gragas, he's able to disengage that thought from Winthrop University, and they go ahead and go for that reset. Haunter, though, being a little bit thirsty, just seeing if he could delay hybrids a little bit more.
Yep, does not want that Nard to get an early back there. But we do see, actually, Babip. He gets back onto the map very quickly, clears the camp towards the top side. Actually, he avoids the camp. He just goes right in to shove this wave. So that was the plan from Haunter here. Delay hybrids back, allow Babip to shove a full wave under turret. Now this Olaf is a little further ahead in golden XP.
Yeah, gotta love that. Teamwork is the DreamWorks, as it is, but this is that engagement once again, where it was Babip who was quicker on the draw, saw that the flash was down. And this is where, yeah, Saskio... I like respect the fact that he's trying to be hungry for that, and he knows that Frost Forward and hybrids are coming in. But you are level 3 Jinx, my man, and that is where it's a little awkward. I think Babip was just like literally DC'd, so
yeah, that was a little confusing for both of those. I was like, wait a minute, why did Jinx just run into raid? Maybe that was the pause. It was like AD carry and jungler from each team DC'd at that exact moment. Unfortunate
sounds
indeed,
about right.
But regardless, it's still very even gold state across the map, and it looks like Hybrids is actually able to get up topside and catch a huge chunk of that wave, so finds himself with a big gold advantage there. Now, aggressive play by Doxa in the mid lane. There's the Ignite, goes down, Sword falls in the 1v1. Doxa picking up a kill.
Oh, that's not what you want to see for TSM Academy. Doxa, though, playing a wonderful Zoe mid lane right there, getting a flash straight into the bubble and winning that 1v1 with the solo kill, having that jump over to now... With this forced reset, he's going to be able to take control of so much of that mid-jungle pressure just because of how he's going to be able to handle with the Sleepy Trouble bubbles being dashed in through the walls. That then tells me for Frost Forest, let's get some vision control again on this bottom side of the map so you can try and sneak away this dragon. But Babip is on that same game plan.
He just wants it. He's level 6. Look at this. He's just been power farming this whole time. He could just run in. Saskio still does not have flash, still does not have heal. If Babip goes right now, they can just run down Saskio. Oh, he doesn't actually want it. Okay, well, we get a replay instead. This is the 1v1 for Doxa.
Yeah, once we saw that there was no action happening in the bot lane, we're like, all right, let's see how this really happened. And it was just as foretold. Flash straight into a Sleepy Trouble bubble. There was nothing that Sword could do. He knew that he was done, so he didn't use his flash at that point, so decided to hold that for the next fight, maybe for the dragon that we were discussing earlier to come into fruition. But also, you were curious about how that weird scramble in the bottom lane would pay out, right? And with the kill going over to Hybrids, he's able to cash in for a Cull and a Longsword, so he can have a little bit of late game investment for that Mythic. And then also the extra pressure that is now being relieved off of this bottom lane because of Cody Sun now having that advantage of the double Longswords against Saskio's Cull.
And they've also done a great job of just keeping the wave frozen on that bot side, not shoving in, trying to bait Saskio and Sir Kenji forward so the Babip could look for a gank. We saw Olaf rotate down there again, didn't find it, while Frost Forest tried to go mid lane and get something done out of Sword. But Sword still have flash, did not need to use it right there. So both sides trying to get aggressive in this early game. I like to see it here at this level of play. I mean, why not? It is a best-of-3 series. You still have the opportunity to come back, but you just want to show up. You want to show up big, you want to show up strong. And now we see Winthrop showing up with an early dragon take. No contest coming in from TSM Academy.
Respect it. That's what we were looking for here, is that getting that bottom priority also gives you that snowballing capability to get those dragons, and you really get to have your cake and eat it too with those neutral objectives. And also with the fact that knowing Babip is gone to that top side and is continuing to invest in that hungry power farming style, Frostfire has been having that upper advantage just in the macro for the early game, while the rest of TSM Academy is still sort of playing a little bit of a solo queue mentality and just sort of playing for themselves.
Playing for themselves. Babip playing for himself right there, stealing away the River Scuttle from Hybrids. Man, Nar was just trying to get something done outside of lane. It was like, my wave's frozen, I might as well roam around. And now could... I thought Babip was pinging that he was coming topside, but no, he just wants to go for this Rift Herald here. Frost Forest is on the same side of the map, but probably a little slow to actually check this.
I don't think Frost Forest is going to try and contest for this either. He knows he needs to play a little bit of catch-up against Babip's power farming, especially when Babip was able to get the first blood to boot. So having to play that catch-up game, he needs to clear out his top side of the map, and there is no position that the rest of Winthrop University was able to really try and challenge that. But I like the rotation as well from Cody Sun and Fizzy to not only just invest in that top end, but also say, you know what? Hanser's having a tough time up here. Let's alleviate some of that, see if we can get some additional plates for Cody Sun and Fizzy as well. So once we hit this mid-game, we have that economy advantage just off of plate count.
We've seen the return of that strategy. Bot lanes rotating up for that first Herald so that they can really try and shove the turret plate gold lead by dropping that down early as well. And now full rotation here. Bot lane from TSM Academy should answer. Actually, they don't. They went topside, and now they're going back down bot side. It was a bait. It was a juke the whole time, Coco. They want that spot side. They want to continue pressuring this bottom turret.
Well, it's that constant alleviation away from Hanser, right? Like, you give him that capability to just sort of get some hard farm, push in, but then it also suppresses Hybrids' scaling, so he's not going to be able to do as much. Thankfully, this ward is going to spot out that Cody Sun and Fizzy are indeed in the bottom side of the map. So this is where you can see Sirkenji roaming into the mid lane. He might be able to find a pick there, but then he's going to migrate down to the bot to help out Hybrids, while Saskio just gets to go ahead and farm safely on the top side.
But Babib's got the Rift Herald. This is probably going to be a first turret. I think TSM Academy just full commit to this right now. I don't know if Winthrop have the answer. They're sending members up top side, but they're not going to outpush a Herald. So this should be first turret gold over to TSM Academy. They're trying to funnel it here onto Cody Sun. Oh, maybe this is a defense actually from TSM Academy, but a dive comes in from Winthrop. They say, "What's up, Hanser? We're just going to get a free kill, but it should be traded." Flash out from Sirkenji, but he's traded with the turret shot. Wow, Hanser gap, everybody. Well played by TSM Academy. They get the turret, and they get a trade of kills.
I respect the whole defense of the turret, but I don't think that was worth it, man. Like, you knew that you were going to be able to get the first brick just off of manpower, and with the Herald, you're going to get 2 turrets, for goodness sakes, with how Cody Sun and Babip are positioning, and with Fizzy as well, forcing Flash away from Hybrids. This is as good as gone. Doxa can't really do much as Zoe at this moment in time, and all this pressure with that massive wave, it's a 2-for-1 trade here for TSM Academy, helping swing that massive momentum that Winthrop thought they had back into TSM's favor.
And a lot of that gold going on to Cody Sun, actually spread across the team as multiple members of TSM were there, but we get a replay of this. Hanser teleports in, and Sirkenji, I think he could have flashed away from the barrel, but he still goes down.
Yeah, just a little bit of a hiccup. I think it was the Super Mega Death Rocket. He thought it was going to hit that threshold where it would do maximum output damage, but it didn't. And so it wasn't able to execute Hanser. So he's like, well, crap. Well, I guess I have to stay in the turret for a little bit longer. And no one else was really trying to force that turret aggro away. So unfortunate for him, but nonetheless, yeah, at this point, Winthrop will take that as a W because it helps them keep up in economy, and especially giving a kill over to Frost Forest, who now has that Gale Force online and is really going to be trying to hunt down Cody Sun.
Trying to take down Cody Sun, who's yet to get a mythic item of his own, but we saw the gold graph right there. Babip and Cody Sun are actually the gold leaders right now, so if Cody Sun hadn't gone towards those Berserker Greaves, would probably have that mythic completed right now. But we'll not have it for this potential dragon fight coming up. 30 seconds until this objective spawns. We see both teams posturing around it. TSM with a shove in the bot side. I feel like Winthrop, yeah, they got to go answer this. They can't pre-set up the dragon. They got their wards down, but they need to wait for that to actually be online before they can really pressure.
And you don't have TP from Hanser either to try and challenge this dragon. It's going to be up in 10 seconds. So this is just a forfeit from TSM Academy saying, all right, let them take this dragon so we can actually get better map pressure in the next few minutes so we can continue to stack up these plates. We've got 2 minutes left on them. Let's see what we can get, and that's what Hanser and Cody Sun are going to be looking for. They're already sprinting up to that top side to see if they can get some extra gold and really pump in that economy to where you can cash in for that mythic for Cody, and you can get Hanser's as well.
Man, we're really seeing a focus of TSM Academy of we do not want to lane match up against them. This is now the, I believe, 2nd or 3rd time they've sent Cody Sun and Fizzy top lane, and we're only 12, just under 13 minutes into the game. They're trading all these dragons for the Rift Heralds, for the turret plates, for the raw gold, but they're going to need to make it worth it for themselves and not allow those dragons to keep stacking. They can maybe fight a fight right here. Saskio does, or sorry, Sirkenji gets caught out and does get bursted down. Not that tanky of a member. That's a double kill over to Babip, who just runs down Hybrids. And that's the gold TSM Academy's looking for.
And they're breaking open this turret as well. So much gold has just been grabbed over from TSM Academy, and also taking some of the jungle camps away from Winthrop to boot, helping sort of expand that lead between Babip and Frost Forest. Because once these turret plates fall, once these initial defense turrets from Winthrop are gone, what resources do they have to try and thwart away any sort of aggressive vision control from TSM Academy. And it's very difficult for them to do so, especially with how Zoe is someone who needs to constantly have that vision control in her favor to look for those picks and look for those trades. And with TSM Academy controlling that, Winthrop University no longer will have that control to force these flanks and force these different fights that they've known to succeed in their previous history.
Winthrop feel good. They got 2 dragons. TSM Academy feel better. They got a 3K gold lead right now. I guess just over 2K, if you do the math correctly. But still, that gold lead theoretically will just continue, right? Yeah, they're hitting these big mythic power spikes before Winthrop are. Specifically, Babbitt with 3 and 1 on the Olaf can absolutely control the jungle right now. So Winthrop are going to have a difficult time continuing to stack these dragons. And the dragons are only worth more if you can get towards that ocean, or sorry, that actual, I guess it is an ocean soul right now. But that's it. They're still at least 8 minutes away from that even being a potential for them. And TSM Academy, you got to imagine this next dragon, they're not going to just give over for free. They are in a powerful position. They get another Rift Herald here, and they're just going to keep playing the turret game for now.
I was trying to think of when would TSM Academy be able to also challenge multiple points of the map. Like, they've been very point focused, where it's Fizzy, Cody's son, and Babib all on the same point. Have to hold on to see why Sir Kenji is really trying to push Haunter away from that
not
turret.
quite sure what you're doing there, buddy.
I understand you're thwarting him away, but you didn't really need to go all in just yet. Haunter understands that this isn't his place or time to really be around right now. And at the stage, it's back to that point of when will TSM Academy really be able to break open the map to a point where they can sort of become like a trident and find those flanks, find those pinches.
Oh, no.
And as much as I continue to try and argue that they should be finding that now, they're the ones getting pinched with Haunter.
Yeah, Haunter unfortunately thought he was safe. He was like, yep, they would have backed off right there, right? But no, even burns the flash. I don't know if that was necessary. Kill picked up there by Frost Force. So the Graves getting a little more gold in his pocket, but at least the turret is traded by TSM Academy. They still find themselves with a turret lead, but with Haunter off the map, this gives Winthrop University a window to keep pushing in these waves and try and take some more turrets themselves. Yeah,
but this is just another head count from TSM Academy as well, saying, all right, we don't know where Hybrids is. He's resetting to catch this top wave. Let's go ahead and reset Cody's son as well to answer this this bottom side of the map, get some more farm onto the Xayah, who's doing pretty well for herself. Like, it's so weird having a 4-kill-to-4 matchup in game 1. 3 turrets have fallen for TSM Academy. Winthrop has been able to grab 2. And all of that action was in the bottom lane. And ever since those 3 minutes, the bottom lane has not been in the bottom lane. Like, Cody, Sun, and Fizzy have just been up and top. They've gone to mid. They've catch bots sometimes, but it's for a very short spurt of time because the objectives they've been looking for, like the Herald, which they also grabbed just a few moments ago, and the turret plates have not been down there. That's not been the crucial point ever since they were able to break it open initially and then just hard force everything else because there's nothing for them to grab anymore.
Yeah, the game is just that meme where there's 2 people driving in cars looking at each other. They're like, all right, you're taking top side? Okay, well, we'll just run bot side. Oh, you're taking bot side? All right, we'll run top side. We don't need to fight. We don't need to actually group up for these objectives. We're just going to constantly trade around the map. But now we got another one spawning here. 40 seconds. This is the big objective that Winthrop keeps looking for. And now they find themselves with a man advantage on the bot side. Haunter has teleport, but look, Sword very far away. They might have caught out Babbitt right here. It's a double TP coming in from TSM Academy. Does Winthrop read that? Frost Force goes very far forward. Really aggressive. A huge barrel from Haunter. Completely turns the fight right there. Sir Kenji's got to get out, but he cannot. A double kill to Sword. TSM Academy dominate that team fight.
What a beautiful teleport from Haunter on that end. I was really concerned for Babbitt for just a moment because he was holding that Ragnarok for as long as possible, but Fizzy was able to come in at the very crucial moment with Battle Dance, shield him up away from that auto attack from Hybrids, and then from there, the rest of Winthrop University was sort of converting to that Tribush choke point of saying, oh, well, we got to look for a kill, we've got to find something before this dragon, and they ran straight into that Haunter TP in a beautiful explosive cask. So looking at that once again, this is just how they're able to catch another great sleepy trouble Doxa, but there's none of the damage is there just yet. There's the Jinx rocket and just being able to survive with the burn as well. And of course, everyone was routing again into that choke point. And TSM Haunter, man, he's really proven a point that he can 1v9 these fights when they happen. They just need to happen. and he's
Also,
able to take him
Frost
over.
Forest had blood in his eyes, man. He like, even if you get that kill, is it worth trading your life? Even if there was only one TP going in there, you die no matter what.
Yeah.
Once you take that kill force forward, there's no getting out of there. Maybe you trade with Babbitt, but I feel like you just take that trade, say, okay, Babbitt's gonna have to back. Now we can get the dragon, but no, they go a little too far forward. The rest of Winthrop have to respond, and now it's TSM Academy slowing down that dragon stacking. They get the Ocean Dragon, and now they get full vision control over the top side of the map as well. 4 turrets to 3. This has been a fairly explosive game so far, Coco, and if this is anything to say how the rest of the series will go, we are in for a treat tonight.
Yeah, it's been a firecracker, like a string of firecrackers just popping off left and right with kills happening across the map. We're going to look at the goal difference of how they're able to accrue just from that single fight. And it's been insane how fast they're able to get that. Ever since the Rift Herald, it's been TSM Academy's game. They were able to break open that bottom side of the map. And then from there, they've just left it alone and grabbed everything else. Turret plates to boot. I think it was around, I think it was 10 of the plates they were able to get amongst all of the turret plates. So that's already is a massive dump of money for themselves, and a lot of it going over to Cody's son and to Hanser. It just shows. You looked at how that last team fight damage was. There's a lot of damage from just a single explosive cask, and then just a perfect combo into this congested area for TSM Academy to just wreak havoc with Zaya's feathers and the blade collars.
I'm a little confused right now what Winthrop's plan is. They got 5 members on the bottom side of the map. They're trying to, I guess, take. There's no. I don't think that there were jungle camps to take.
So no one can do Baron at this moment in time because everyone's available. Baron doesn't die fast enough from either of these teams to really look for it in a confident manner and say, okay, we're going to challenge it and sort of force them into this dark vision. So everyone is trying to get that wave management and get vision control into the opposing team's jungle so they can look for those pinches and those choke points where you either are able to create a congested but chaotic fight for Winthrop or a very spread out and diverse team fight for TSM Academy. And having this vision control being pushed forward and being denied away. Right now, Winthrop has that momentum just because they're sticking together and they're able to clear out that vision effectively. They also have some TP flanks as well for hybrids to try and come in on. But at this stage, with just how massive the economy lead is for TSM Academy, even if they find that fight for Winthrop, it may just be as good as gone because they don't have the damage just yet to stick.
They're not in a position to fight. First of all, if there's nothing to fight
well,
over,
now they
second
just
of all,
spread
you
out.
have waves shoved in everywhere. When you rotate as 5 like this, the problem is you're giving up priority on 2 lanes because everyone's grouped up. So yeah, you can shove 1 wave at a time, but look at this. Now finally they get Doxa top side. They have hybrids bot side, but they lost 3 waves shoving in top. Imagine if Saskio had just caught all of those waves rather than wasting time on the bot side backing and then running mid and catching 1 wave. You know, like it's those little things where I think that Winthrop, they need to realize, okay, when there's nothing to fight over, we don't have to group as 5. You know, it's going for kind of crazy death rush, those types of plays. It's nice, but you know, what are you going to get after that? Maybe a turret. Instead, you can play the much safer bet of just keep putting waves into Saskio, allow this Jinx to scale, and then Jinx will come on when you need her to in those fights. Whereas now, not going to be as far ahead here. So maybe a little hypercritical, but that's just something that I've noticed here with a lot of these more amateur and collegiate level teams is when they group up like this, they're just giving up so much around the map.
It's the NAA RAM, man. For something, just something with the teams that they get to that stage where it's like, it's team fight stage, so we have to be grouped up. And with Dragon now 40 seconds away, no one really has control over it at the moment, so this is where they're going to be pushing in. Winthrop can look for those advantages, though Sir Kenji is a little far away from the rest of his team.
He's got to be careful, especially, for it.
Especially with Saskio. Saskio's out of position as well. They need to reconvene and get back together to try and look for this fight, but a nice piece of harassment there coming in from Doxa, and
TSM's controlling the waves. TSM just shoves mid wave, and then Winthrop's like, okay, well, I guess we have to catch this now, because they're grouping up the dragon 20 seconds before the dragon has spawned, whereas TSM Academy is instead saying, no, we shove the mid wave, and then we rotate to dragon to get the vision down. So we'll see. Maybe, with these trouble bubbles, this poke, it's not quite sticking.
Yeah. it's so weird because you can also sacrifice those waves sometimes to just get that vision control, and that's where Winthrop is running into a conflict of interest, saying we need that vision control to look for these flanks, for Doxa to find these sleepy trouble bubbles, but we also need to catch the waves so Saskia can continue to farm. And it's just this constant back and forth of their minds bickering with each other that gave TSM Academy, who has been sticking to their goals and has been very much one thing at a time so far, that they can then push in and get that advantage. But then once they said, okay, we got to win back that dragon control, Winthrop finally made that choice, and with Doxa helping with all the sleepy troubles that he's been able to throw out, he's able to force back this dragon. This will be still point.
I don't know if they wanted this engage though. Half the members around the dragon, the other half go for a fight. Now Winthrop are split in their objectives. TSM Academy pick up a couple free kills. Actually, it is traded for Babbitt, but without Saskio, without Sir Kenji as that front line, the rest of Winthrop have to run away. At least they get the dragon. Oh, Frost Forest. Yep. I don't know if he's going to get out of this one. There's a TP going topside. Where does the great... Oh, they never expected. He's just going to farm. Nope, they expected. Never mind. He will be caught out here. There might have been enough time. This could potentially be an execute. No, he's
allowed to. No, he was allowed too much time.
Yeah, okay. Well, never mind. Goody-san gets the kill.
I think he should have just died earlier. Sure, get the wolf camp, but just die at that earlier stage, because then now, with the jungle... gray screen being so staggered, TSM Academy can look for this Baron fairly easily. Yeah,
wow.
This is where I was gonna say Winthrop was gonna be able to come out on top to get to that soul point and disengage and then reset to try and look for at least a defensive position against this Baron. But with how much time Frost Forest had wasted, all of that pre-planning has been thrown out the window, and now it's up to Doxa and Saskio to find this steal.
It's only halfway down. It's going to come down to, can Saskio get in there? And does he have Runehands yet? I don't know if he has that finished. And Baron stolen! Doxa! What? No way! Babbitt mistimes the smite, does not get the Baron, and Winthrop get another kill on the outside of that one. Hanser goes down. Doxa with the hero play. He doesn't need to lay his paddle stars to poke around Dragon. He just needs that one. Just that one on the Baron.
I think he also stole blue. I think he also stole the blue on that.
No way.
Because, yeah, he was chasing away, and I think he did! He stole the blue! Oh,
that's
my
just
goodness.
Salt in the wound right there, man.
So this is where, again, it was something where because of the death stagger...
Smite! Oh, he had smite. He must have picked up smite somewhere.
So, it's, again, that fact that I have to be critical on Frost Forest for putting Winthrop and Doxa in this position. But Doxa... having the smite and having the capability to jump in with the ultimate from Zoe and that smite, it's just absolutely insane. Wonderful call from him with the unsealed spellbook to get that. Good call. Thank you, producers, for reminding Kangas for it. But
I wanted it to be the paddle star so bad, man. I believed. I had faith.
But it's something where it's like you didn't need to be in that position, but blessed that you got
to be in a position. Frost Forest, a little
not
far
again.
forward right there. Has
are
the
you
ultimate
doing?
available. Might need to use it to get out. Oh, okay. Use it into a wall. Sweet. Will go down. Does not get the grump in time either. That feels bad.
That's Captain. Captain, please stay with the team. This is not something that you need to be power farming anymore. Like, yes, it is that team fight situation, but you don't need to team fight. But it is also something that you shouldn't be counter jungling when it is 27 minutes into the game and your team is
team reset. Yeah.
Yeah, currently catching waves, trying to reset. Like, it. Come on, man. Anyways, brush that off. Let's look at how the rest of Winthrop can be able to sort of try and use this power play that they're able to win in the lottery. And it's really just sort of trying to hard reset the map, because it's not something where they can go in with the confidence against TSM and say, okay, we can look for these for this vision control to try and look for those pinches and for these catches for Doxa to continue to find. Because Frost Forest is continuing to play his own game, and we don't have a team just yet that can really obliterate the front line of Hanser and Babip just yet. So we need to spread the map out a little bit more, and that allows TSM Academy to play the same game because they are still ahead economically. Now that that's been sort of equalized, Winthrop does still have that foot in the game to try and close it out.
And Dragon is coming up in about a minute's time. This would be Ocean Soul for Winthrop. It's such a big objective for them to take. For the first time, though, we actually see TSM Academy with the inside track here, getting some very deep vision right now. Winthrop University realizing, okay, we are not in a position to contest this. Let's not get caught up by TSM Academy. But, Frost Forest doing his best to give me a heart attack right now. will get out of that one. Winthrop University, though, Hybrids this whole time gets a free turret topside, so TSM Academy do not find their play.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's a TP just to, yeah, I think he was thinking that Haunter and Sword were trying to route and catch him in transition, so he used the TP as sort of a safe state.
Though.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird, right? Because it's like, they didn't see Haunter because he positioned backwards, but we're gonna have to hold on to that because Cody-san took a brutish amount of damage from both Doxa and Frost Force there. And that might just lose them this dragon here, and especially because of it being Soul, you do not want that happening here for TSM Academy, because man, it's going to be difficult to try and tear through this constant regeneration that Winthrop University will be able to improve.
So how do TSM Academy want to approach this one? They have Hotzer and Fizzy, the two engaged tools on the top half of the pit. Everybody else, the DPS, on the bot half of the pit. Babip will function as the front line for this fight, but Winthrop University have the luxury of being grouped up as 5, so they can choose a front. They don't have to split their attention, they can just focus down on one or the other, and that's actually Hybrid's trying to focus here on Fizzy, but he just jumps in and tries to engage with the team. Almost a blow up from Sword, just straight in onto Doxa, but all it was a distraction. Dragon taken by TSM Academy, they just wanted the objective.
And unfortunately for Winthrop University, they didn't have the vision control to look for the flanks or to find the flanks that Fizzy and Haunter were looking for. Beautiful play from both of the TSM members, respectively, because they were able to create that bubble, that safe space around the dragon for Babip to walk in and be able to secure that dragon where Winthrop University had kindly leashed it to them. But they're not out of the woods just yet, though it is all very much focused on if they're able to catch out Doxa and Saskio. It is now at that stage, at 30 minutes into the game, where Saskio is about to cash in onto that third item of Jinx, and that is going to be extremely difficult for Haunter and Babip to try and soak up all of that damage while they're getting constantly oppressed and poked down by Doxa's Zoe.
There's a lot of armor built on Haunter, but I'm happy you highlighted the Zoe, because Zoe poke will just do that much more to Haunter now. He's only itemizing for the Jinx, but there is still a big AP threat that can land some poke onto him, so we'll see if Haunter... Okay, now he's got a little bit of magic resist. There we go. He's realizing that. He's like, all right, I do have to worry about the approaching 3 items Zoe as well. TSM Academy, though, again, delaying that Dragon Soul take, now taking control of this mid wave, and vision control of the top half of the map, because there is a Baron spawning here in 30 seconds. That's where my eyes are going next, thinking both of these teams want to get this one. Last time, it was a hero steal from Doxa, but TSM Academy, they want it for themselves.
And this time around, just with how Summoner Spellbook is, Doxa will have to rely on someone else dropping that smite for him, or will have to really depend on Frost Force to pilot that for himself. As Cody-san checking a little bit too far forward as Doxa's able to... That's a nice paddle star, but this might actually force a fight, because now both of those being low might actually force that hand to get this Baron advantage, and there we go.
Fizzy looking for it, they just blow him up! Cody-san couldn't even press ultimate, couldn't press heal, couldn't press a damn thing! TSM Academy getting shut down left and right. Saskio chasing down Babbitt. No, it was actually Doxa for the double kill. Winthrop University showing up huge when it matters.
And all of that starting off of Doxa hitting a wonderful paddle star onto Cody-san to force TSM Academy's hand. They could no longer play safe. They had to find a catch to try and pressure for this Baron. And because of that, it gave an opening for Sir Kenji to come in with the Nautilus. Beautiful hook onto TSM to just rip them apart. And that congested, chaotic fight that Winthrop was looking for all game has finally come into fruition. And TSM Academy has suffered immensely for it. Winthrop showing us that Academy is not as big as they thought.
Cody-san, learning the power of the old flash point-blank Nautilus ult. Could not press any buttons after that one. Doxa following up with that damage. What a combo here. And it all started with Doxa just landing that one paddle star into Cody-san too. Yep. That's what the Zoe's able to do. All you need is 1 or 2 paddle stars and you can completely turn a game state. At that point, Cody-san didn't even get damage out. Frost Force didn't even get damage out.
I think that that has to be blipped. That has to be bugged a
There's
little bit.
no way, right?
This is like 10 minutes damage. We're 33 minutes in. Hopefully, oh well. I'd like to see how actually Sir Kenji was able to get that, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get the time to look at that replay, because now TSM Academy is scrambling to get that control back, especially against a Baron power play for Winthrop University, who is totally okay with sitting out, managing the waves, and controlling that vision for the dragon that's about to spawn into a minute, because they know they're going to have Baron available for them when this dragon spawns. So if they're able to hard force it and make sure TSM Academy has to play their game, then it's just an absolute win-win for themselves.
TSM Academy are getting desperate. They're looking for a teleport flank play onto hybrids right now, but it is an R. He does have flash available. So yeah, it's just teleport down for Haunter. He's taking a big chunk. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't have any magic resist, but TSM Academy want to force the fight. They get onto Saskia. There's no more Jinx. It's straight onto Fizzy, sure, but I think TSM Academy take that idea of the week, but look at Doxa just poking away Haunter. Babip goes down too. They don't actually need Saskia. It was all a bait, Coco. Winthrop University again winning a team fight that TSM Academy opted into.
And there will be no way in hell that TSM Academy is going to be able to try and challenge this Dragon Soul. Bib's not even going to be ready for it. He's got 10 seconds until that spawns. And there we go. That's a little bit more of a better damage turret.
Saskia, no. I guess he got the Cody Sun treatment from last fight, right?
He may have done 0 damage, but he still did a ton to the morale of TSM Academy, showing that they just hard engaged onto him, and because of that, it just went to that crucial choke point. Massive AoE came in from Hybrids and Frost Forest, and there was no way within the terrain for the members of TSM to get to Doxa, and Doxa just had the time of his life and was able to just obliterate them. So now with this Dragon Soul, let's just do a little bit of a heel cut check, right? We've got Bramble Vest onto TSM Academy's Haunter, and that's it.
That's it. There's not much else. Hey, there's 4 items on Cody Sun. He got all those early turret plates. He's gonna carry, right, guys?
Yeah, not if you get Flash, not Ultin, every single fight. So.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this is a lot of pressure on TSM Academy right now because the early game, they were trading these dragons on purpose. This was not something where it's like, oh, Winthrop were sneakily stealing them away. They weren't winning a team fight and then taking them. No, it was TSM saying, okay, you take the first 2 dragons, we'll take the heralds, we'll get the top turret, all the plates, so we have the gold lead. But then they didn't actually utilize that gold lead effectively. They did not use it correctly, and now it might be Haunter getting caught out yet again. It's just Saskia for the damage. It's a lot of armor on Haunter. He can actually tank this up for quite a while, but can he tank up Doxa right here? That one Battlestar, ooh! Not quite gonna land. That probably would have killed Haunter, though. So good sidestep from TSM Academy's top laner.
Yeah, and if that didn't kill him, well, the Super Mega Death Rocket definitely would have sealed his fate. Now, look at that's some good vision control for Winthrop University to make sure they can constantly find those picks. This is Dox's daydream right now to always be looking for those sleepy trouble bubbles. He just needs to get into the jungle to make sure that he can constantly dish those oppressive zone controls out. And at this point, Baron has worn off, but they still have the Ocean Dragon that they can always dish a little bit of damage just to regen themselves back up to full health to constantly siege against TSM. And this is where we come at a little bit of an impasse because they need Doxa on that flank to force members away from the turret to then siege effectively with Saskia and Hybrids. And if Doxa gets picked out, the rest of the sieging composition that Winthrop has is then thwarted away because they have a short-ranged jungler. Hybrids really needs to have Mega Gnar to really force anything of a dive. And because of that, and because of the wave clear that Sword and Cody Sun are providing, there's not much that they can do until TSM Academy steps and sort of peeks out of their turtle shell and gives them a chance for Winthrop to then cut their head off.
It's looking like it's going to be a Baron fight next, Coco. I think that's what the teams are prepping for. Winthrop realizing, like you're saying, they can't actually successfully siege that bottom turret. So back off, reset, spend your gold, reset for this top side of the map, get division control down here, because TSM Academy, they find themselves down quite a large amount of gold. We see this gold graph just completely invert and then double in the gold differential here for Winthrop. Saskia, I believe, has now hit 4 items off of that back, so Jinx is fully online, and all Winthrop need to do is win this Baron fight and close out the game.
Yeah, let's just see what that final 4th item was. I believe it was a Mortal Reminder. There it is. Yep. Mortal Reminder as it is. And with that, you also have the stopwatch in there as well. So if he does get caught out again, he has that in his back pocket. I respect it, Sir Kenji.
Yeah,
again,
I like
Flash not ult would have been great, but very difficult for them to do so. But who else has been caught out? It's been Frost Forest.
Frost Force, but he does go golden to stay alive, buy some time. 2 ultimates used, Sword and Babbitt very low on health. Not at the opportune time. Baron's up in 22 seconds. They're going to need a reset, reheal, and then try and approach. But I think the Winthrop just secured the Baron off of that. I don't know if they even need to go for a fight anymore. They might just look for it, though, mid-side.
You got double TP. Haunter and Sword can always sort of jump on in, and there you go with the Force. They're going to be able to catch, so They'll have 4 members to challenge this Baron take, but it's gonna give them enough time, hopefully, for Babib to come in. But this is where Winthrop, you said 4-item Jinx. He just tears through this objective.
Yeah. You got to be careful of your TSM Academy, because not only does he tear through the objective, he tears through you. So as you're approaching, it's going to be Haunter's barrel that I'm looking at. Can he catch Sasuke? Sasuke, got to be careful. He does walk. Hyper's on the flank. He gets caught out. Multi-man stun here from Syndra comes in. Sword doing what he can. Haunter's still trying to be that front line. So Genji goes a little too far forward, but can Cody Sun output that damage he needs? It actually doesn't. Sword gets it, but what an engage from Hybrids! They forgot about the Gnar. Now Sasuke can run in, clean up the rest of this fight. Sword's in trouble. Drowsy lands here onto Fizzy. Sword running away if he can, but Doxa says, you can't get anywhere, buddy. Picks up another kill for Winthrop University. It's just Fizzy and Cody Sun versus the world. Winthrop University, they don't even need the Baron. They're looking for the end.
And they've got enough damage to rip these turrets to shred like they were made of paper. And there's no time left in TSM's bank to try and challenge this. This will be Winthrop giving us a strong statement against TSM Academy in Game 1, taking an advantage in this series.
Yeah, they just need to take down these Nexus turrets. Cody Sutton was slept. Back alive now. Ooh, these bubbles not quite landing from Doxa, but yeah, they don't even need to. Turret, or Nexus rather, will fall. They still get Cody Sutton at the end of the day. Those turret plates won't help you now, Cody Sutton. Congratulations, Winthrop, for picking up game number 1 in what I was going into thinking the most heavily favored matchup we were going to see pretty much all week. I thought TSM Academy were going to crush this, and Winthrop University showing up.
Yeah, this is something where we did not get the Winthrop University that is really available in yesterday's match against Revival. This is the Winthrop that we know and love, where they are a little bit they're a little bit scrambled in the mid game, but once you get to that 3-item spike for a lot of their members, for Sasuke and for Doxa, that's when their shot calling prowess comes into play, and Sirkenji can just sit back and be the engage tool that his team needs to provide them that scrappy and chaotic fighting style that Winthrop University knows and loves. But it looked dark for a moment. Like, TSM Academy had their number in the first 15 minutes of the game, but like you mentioned before, TSM Academy, they were able to find those advantages, but they were not able to pressure them to really take this game over.
And I just want to give props to Doxa throughout that performance, ending like 9-1 as Zoe, stealing the Baron. Like,
he saved the game, man.
A performance this game. I kept looking at Sasuke thinking, this is Jinx. This is Jinx. This is the one that's going to pop up. Jinx has got 4 items, Runaans, Rockets, late game. Nope. It's Doxa on the Zoe, absolutely one-shotting everybody. So congratulations to Winthrop University. We're going to send it over to a short break before the analysts come back and break down a little bit about what happened right there. We got a series on our hands, everybody. Yep. We'll be right back after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, they've freaking done it. Winthrop University took a game off of TSM Academy. Here we were saying things like, oh man, there's no, they should be proud if they take at least one game off of them. But they open up the series just like that, and now with momentum on their side, TSM Academy are the ones on the back foot, since technically this puts Winthrop University at match point here at Special.
Yeah, that was very surprising. I actually think TSM's draft was fine. They drafted really strong engage with Rakan and Gragas, and it was against a Jinx and a Zoe, and they had a knowledge support. So they didn't have any peel at all. There's nothing to stop Olaf from running in. But I think the biggest surprise point from that game was Haunter. I think he underperformed heavily. He died repeatedly. He showed no pressure. He didn't outscale. He didn't make any plays at all. When you look at his, if you look at his Gragas play isolated, he should not have played Gragas. He should have literally played Ornn. Even Malphite would have had more value that game.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Alorum pick up the Malphite against Gnar. Obviously, Gnar was picked after seeing the Gragas. But if Haunter's not going to play Gragas well, which is looking for those E flash engages onto the non-mobile mid lane and AD of Winthrop, they don't pick the champion. I mean, as simple as that. I mean, Haunter's a great player, but if you pick Gragas, you have to make plays. You have to, or else don't pick them.
And we saw an example of some of the underperforming from Haunter in this game against Winthrop University. As the first replay will show, TSM Academy were setting up for a 4-man turret play to start taking for first brick. But then Haunter off battery then makes this a greedy teleport. Right?
It's greedy, right? Like he wants they want for TSM, they want to have their cake and eat it too on this replay. It is literally just they go top lane, they try to pick up as much gold. He's like, okay, well I can try and save the turret, and I can also catch this wave. I can stop us from losing top lane if they're gonna go for it. But this is just like, okay, we've already forced hybrids off of the turret. Just take what you can get. You can either go for a reset here or help your jungler get some vision. And he goes for this TP. He's like, okay, I'm gonna stop Jinx, but. I guess they just didn't track that the support and jungler could potentially be in this area. They end up dying, and while he's able to get a kill back for himself, it's plays like these that were kind of keeping Winthrop inside of the game, making sure that their Jinx were trading gold on the opposite side, which was the big problem here for TSM Academy. They were doing well in certain parts where they were catching out Sasuke and taking him down, and that's when they started to look really strong. Other than that, it was just Winthrop and them trading sides, just giving both of their bot laners as much gold as possible.
First good play TSM Academy had was when they TP'd bot, and obviously the Babib DC'd or whatever and died. But like, you want to do that repeatedly against Jinx because she has no escape summoners, and you have it's against Nautilus as well, and you also have Olaf who can literally ignore all CC. So what they should have done after they got Herald was match lanes and do the exact same thing using TP, using that, and that would have been perfect. Instead, they try to trade against Jinx, which is okay. I mean, they still got 2 turrets, but then Haunter TP's in for no reason to give free kill, and it's just such a. I feel like they just are underestimating Winthrop so much, and they're giving them no credit when clearly these guys are not bad. Like, Winthrop is a team of really solid players, and Doxa obviously. We don't even go in there yet, but
well, we're not quite ready to talk about Doxa yet, but you know, you're absolutely right. The cherry on the cake will definitely come later on. But the next replay shows what TSM Academy were looking to do this game. Unfortunately, they really only did it once, exploiting Winthrop's University's mispositioning is when they did go for this top side of the map. Hybrids was backing off the turret initially, but then with Kenji coming towards the top side of the map to assist, it seemed like Winthrop University were trying to answer, but they just disrespected the amount of engage that TSM Academy were pretty much backing here all.
This was kind of like what we were talking about. We were like, okay, if Hybrids just backs off here, it's fine. This kind of feels like one of those situations where, okay, I'm going to try and protect you. I can try and be in this position. This was the one part where we're like, okay, cool. Haunter went for the play, right, where he lands the body slam. He goes for the ultimate engage, and it looks good. They get a little bit more off of this. They get a few more plates for Cody-san before backing off. But like you said, it was one of the few moments for TSM where they did exactly what they needed to do. They just started to kind of, I think, lose sight of what they needed and what they had to do. And like Special said earlier, Haunter, I think, kind of let the game get away from him very, very easily.
Yeah, I think there's not too much to say. I think TSM, they had a game plan. I felt like they out macro them, but they didn't need to do anything fancy. They should have just fought them. They should have been more aggressive and been, hey, it's Jinx, it's Zoe, it's Nautilus. We have a good draft for fighting this 3v3, 4v4, 5v5. Just take the fight. Instead, they just try to scale for the mid late game, and then obviously, you know, the Baron and giving the soul. Once you give a soul to any team, it doesn't matter if they have no hands or not. You're gonna lose. Like, soul is just too powerful, especially Ocean Soul. Ocean Soul is just a strong soul. Like, it's just unplayable. You literally cannot do anything. It doesn't matter if it's LCS team versus Academy team. Like, if you have Ocean Soul, you're just gonna win the game. But just take the fight, man. Just fight when they don't have soul.
Just fight them. Come on, man. Like,
actually, it's really that simple when it comes down to this meta right now. It's very much about team fights. And so just use your mechanics, use your team fighting skill, and just team fight them with your stronger comp.
Yeah,
we were in call, and sorry, I just want to say we were in call, and especially the entire time he's the meme where he's like the poking, the stick is poking, he's like, do something, just do something, please, TSM Academy.
Yeah, actually,
anything.
Because there's a distinct time where it's like, okay, this is where they should, or X Special was kind of talking us through the game plan, just through his coaching perspectives. Like, okay, this is great for TSM Academy. Cody Sun just got Gale Force. Jinx is still on only Noon Quiver and only tier 1 boots. They should win every single fight, right? But they never started any damn fights. So they
they literally swapped into top side to take top turret, and that's where that play happened, which was really good. It was actually better because of what happened. But like, you can't analyze it in that sense. Like, oh, like they won this fight, that's why it was good. If you just take the fight at Dragon, when you're stronger with your champions who want to fight, you would just win the game. So I don't know who's making that call in game, and I don't know if it was like, hey, like let's just scout scale them. But they need to stop that. Just take the damn fight when you have a stronger comp.
And then going into the rest of the game, because of their lack of proactivity throughout that mid game, Winthrop University were doing a great job of constantly sneaking dragons and trading the dragons for whatever times that TSM Academy were taking turrets on the other side of the map, and eventually got to the point where in this next replay, Winthrop University are able to secure the 3rd Ocean Dragon of the game, which puts them at soul point. And even though that Frost Force does get caught out eventually, as we roll and speed through this replay, disaster will strike for TSM Academy off of a heroic play from Doxa.
Yeah, eventually after this play, you know, they're able to get the dragon, like you said. This is where it starts to get very dicey for TSM, right? Where they don't have a jungler. I know all of us in call, we were like, okay, if everybody at home was like, okay, there should be free Baron for TSM. Frost Forest is dead, there's no smite available to you, but I think TSM very critically may have skipped some steps. They needed to make sure to at least fully ward out this enemy jungle. They know that Zoe is over the wall. Why not just you know, either get her out of the way, move her out? They have full access to this. Their jungler is here. I think they could have potentially gone for a fight. I don't know what X Special feels about this, but this is definitely like, we are just going to force the dragon, and we're just going to keep doing it no matter what happens. And it ends up being that massive steal from Doxa.
So it's tricky to make that, to analyze that, because doing that Baron in that situation is basically saying, hey, we feel like we got outscaled, and we got to do it now. We're on a timer. That's what that Baron tells me. But if that's what that tells you, you should be fighting earlier. So it's pretty clear that they don't know what they're doing. They should not do that Baron there. Honestly, against Zoe, so I obviously they don't play against Zoe that often. It's not very common to play against Zoe right now. Yeah. So they didn't expect her to have smite, whatever. Like, that's understandable, but the way they did the Baron there, they obviously didn't expect a fight. It got stolen. That really, really sucks. And that's, to me, kind of signaling like they don't really have a game plan when they go into this game. They really, all it comes down to, regardless of how well Doxa played, just fight them. Like, that situation, you can't fight them because they had no ults. But every other fight before that, they should have taken, and they should have never gone into that situation. And I mean, I don't know why they felt like they're on timer if they're not going to play aggressive early. Because, I mean, your team has got to win somewhere. You can't lose every single part of the game.
Right. It's kind of like the situation where, you know, as a coach at collegiate school for Harrisburg University Storm, maybe it's like one of those situations where your student's like, oh, I got this essay due on Friday. I got time. I got time. And then finally it's the night before, like,
you could just get it done before.
I got to do it right now. And then it's like, no, this is no longer the time to do it. Like, it is way too late. It's going to be botched. You're going to skip steps, right? And then you get a failing grade on the paper. So, just lesson at home, kids. Don't do things at the last minute. Please do them when you have the opportunity to and the time to. And as TSM Academy learned throughout this game, like X Special said, they should have been more proactive when their composition was clearly stronger, and they could have easily taken fights, but they didn't, and they suffer for it. And by the time you get to this last replay where it is the last Baron secure and you have the Ocean Soul secured by Winthrop, I mean, at that point, TSM Academy, no matter how well you fight it, it's always going to be a losing fight here.
Turns out Ocean Soul's pretty good. I know X Special was talking about it earlier, that Ocean Soul is pretty broken. Doesn't matter what you can do. This is just kind of, at this point, we're playing highlight reel for Winthrop. They did a really good job. We're getting, we're playing all the classics, like you said earlier. I look at this and I'm like, okay, well, TSM, what are you doing for game 2? Because this is really difficult for them. Oh, we even get a nice camera, T-Tours, but this is just basically them cleaning up. I wanted to actually ask this special what your thoughts are on the gap between Academy and Collegiate, because I mean, you have obviously experience in both, and I think it'd be really interesting to hear whether you think that gap is still there or how big it might be.
Well, I mean, obviously this game kind of shows that the Academy teams are making a lot of mistakes, whether it's they're not teaching their players correctly, that their players are not learning. I don't know what it is, but that game was a clear example of not playing to your team comp. They made the macro decisions. Like they had macro decisions that would work, but based on their team comp, they shouldn't have done that. And whether there's a gap, I mean, I can't tell. We'll see. I mean, one game it's hard to really pinpoint. What I really want to see though is TSM play with a little bit more confidence. They should really just, if you're going to play to outscale, pick a team that outscales. If you're going to play for winning your lanes, do that. Like, don't pick one and then do the opposite of what your team comp says to do. And I think that's going to be, I really hope that that's something that changes between this game and the other game, because honestly, today's performance from Academy teams were incredibly embarrassing. It's, what are you guys doing, honestly? Like, if this is Academy, no wonder we're getting shit on.
Yeah.
It's true.
Honestly, I think this is kind of the same expectations that an Expo Special would have for his collegiate team as well. If you have, kind of set standards that level that you know your players can play, and they're playing far below those expected standards, then you got to bring out the harsh talk, man. And I hope TSM Academy is also getting the harsh talk into. It's like, guys, we shouldn't be losing these fights at all. So, but huge props to Winthrop University capitalizing on where they were able to find weaknesses and exploiting them to the potential. We are going to get ready for game 2, but we're going to take a quick break. So don't close that tap, guys. We'll be right back.